Have you ever felt manipulated, exploited, or abused by a narcissist? Someone who believes they are superior, with special rights and always right regardless of the harm they cause. A person who never apologizes, never changes, and never cares. If you've been through this, you may have wondered how to retaliate, how to make them suffer the same way they made you suffer, how to torment them with your words, actions, or silence. The pain inflicted by a narcissist can be deeply draining, leaving emotional scars that are difficult to erase. It's common to feel an intense need for revenge, to make them feel at least a fraction of the suffering they caused. However, by focusing on fighting back, we run the risk of perpetuating a cycle of negativity and resentment that only harms us. But what if I told you there was a better way? A path that doesn't involve stooping to their level, playing their games, or giving them what they want. A path that truly empowers, frees, and heals you. That path is Stoicism. Stoicism is an ancient philosophy that teaches wisdom, courage, justice, and self-control. It allows you to focus on what you can control and release what you can't. Instead of spending energy trying to change or punish the narcissist, Stoicism teaches us to focus on our own reactions and attitudes. This does not mean accepting abuse, but rather choosing not to be defined by it. Stoicism equips you to deal with challenging emotions, situations, and individuals without compromising your peace of mind. By practicing this philosophy, you acquire valuable tools to face adversity calmly and wisely. In this discussion, I will demonstrate 4 ways to apply Stoicism when dealing with narcissists. These methods are not cruel or vindictive, but rather effective and ethical. Not only will they make the narcissist realize the futility of their attempts at manipulation, but they will also increase their own happiness, strength, and wisdom. First, by adopting these principles, you will learn to protect yourself emotionally while maintaining your dignity and composure. Instead of letting yourself be consumed by anger and frustration, you will find a path of resilience and self-reliance, transforming your pain into an opportunity for personal growth and inner strength. Stoicism teaches that true peace comes from within and should not be disturbed by the actions of others. Thus, by applying these methods, you not only defend yourself against the advances of a narcissist, but you also elevate yourself to a state of balance and mental clarity. Furthermore, these principles allow you to respond to provocations in a calculated and calm way. By maintaining control over your reactions, you demonstrate to the narcissist that you cannot be easily shaken, which may frustrate him and cause him to reconsider his tactics. This approach strengthens your position and weakens that of the narcissist, without the need to descend to the level of manipulation and conflict. Finally, by turning challenging situations into opportunities for self-discovery and empowerment, you develop unshakable resilience. Every interaction with a narcissist becomes a chance to practice patience, understanding, and self-control. Instead of being a victim of circumstances, you become the master of your emotions and an example of integrity and inner strength. So, by adopting Stoicism, you not only effectively confront narcissistic behavior, but you also transform your own character, becoming stronger, wiser, and more serene. This is the true power of Stoicism, not just surviving challenges, but growing and flourishing through them. Before we explore the 4 ways to deal with a narcissist using Stoicism, let's first understand what narcissism is and how it affects relationships. Narcissism is a personality problem where the person has a distorted sense of self-sufficiency, lack of empathy, and an exaggerated need for attention and praise. Narcissists have a very inflated ego, a sense of superiority, and a tendency to use and harm others for their own benefit. They are often charming, charismatic, and confident, but also arrogant, selfish, and dishonest. Narcissists are unable to have healthy, satisfying relationships. They see others as sources of praise and validation, or as threats and obstacles. They do not respect the boundaries, feelings, or needs of others, and do not take responsibility for their actions. Instead, they blame, criticize, and project their own faults onto others. They do not value or reciprocate the love, care, and support they receive, but demand more while offering less. Being in a relationship with a narcissist can be very damaging and traumatic. You may feel like you're always walking on eggshells, trying to please, avoid their anger, or earn their approval. You can lose your sense of self, your confidence, and your happiness. You may feel anxiety, depression, guilt, shame, anger, or resentment. You may feel isolated, trapped, or hopeless. If you are in a relationship with a narcissist or have been in the past, you are not alone. Many people have experienced narcissistic abuse, and many have also recovered and healed. You are not crazy, weak, or useless. You are not the problem. The problem is the narcissist and his disorder. Narcissists seek to control, manipulate, or hurt, often triggering negative emotions and reactions. Stoicism offers a shield against their influence, enabling us to assert ourselves with dignity, respect, and detachment from their plight. How can we use Stoicism to deal with interactions with narcissists? The first step to challenging the narcissist with Stoicism is to cultivate emotional strength. Emotional strength means remaining calm, logical, and resilient in difficult times, provocations, and pressures. It is the opposite of emotional reactivity, which is the tendency to react impulsively, irrationally, and negatively to external triggers. Having emotional strength is like being a rock in the middle of a storm, remaining firm and unshakable, even when the waves of provocations try to knock us down. It is a skill that allows us to respond wisely rather than react emotionally, maintaining our mental clarity and inner stability. Narcissists thrive on emotional reactions. They like to provoke, manipulate, and trigger us, feeding on our emotions. They use tactics like gaslighting, lies, blame, accusations, criticism, or insults to undermine, thus make us doubt ourselves, feel inferior, or defensive. They want us to lose our composure, self-confidence, and sanity. Imagine an emotional vampire, sucking our vital energy every time we react to his provocations. Every emotional explosion, every tear, every cry of frustration is a feast for them, confirming their power over us and reinforcing their feeling of superiority. What if we deny them what they want? What if we don't react to their provocations, but respond with emotional strength? What if we don't allow them to affect our mood, judgment, or behavior, but maintain our peace, logic, and dignity? This would be agonizing for the narcissist because they would realize that they have no control over us, that they cannot manipulate us, and they would become frustrated, angry, and insecure. Imagine the narcissist as a puppeteer without puppets. Without our emotional reactions, his strings have no effect, and he finds himself devoid of his usual power, facing a mirror that reflects his own powerlessness and insecurity. They would lose their illusion of superiority, entitlement, and control, exposing them for the weak, insecure, and pathetic individuals they truly are. How can we cultivate emotional strength? How can we avoid being emotionally reactive and instead become emotionally resilient? Here are some Stoic suggestions and strategies to help us. Remember what you can control. Focus on your response rather than reacting impulsively. Stoic wisdom teaches us that while we cannot control the actions of others, we have complete control over our own responses. When faced with the manipulative tactics of a narcissist, we must remember that our emotions are our own and that we have the power to choose how we react. Practice mindfulness. Stay present and aware of your thoughts and feelings without being overwhelmed by them. The practice of mindfulness helps us observe our emotions without getting carried away by them, allowing us to respond in a considered and controlled way. Daily reflection. Set aside time each day to reflect on your interactions and how you can improve your emotional response. Self-reflection is a powerful tool for strengthening our emotional resilience, helping us learn from our experiences and better prepare us for future challenges. Strengthen the mind and spirit. Engage in activities that promote calm and mental clarity, such as meditation, reading philosophical texts, and regular physical exercise. These practices help us build a solid foundation of inner strength, making us less susceptible to the emotional manipulations of narcissists. Take a moment to pause and consider your response. Choose to respond with reason and calm, rather than being guided by emotion. In moments of conflict, it's common to feel pressured to react immediately, but giving yourself a moment to breathe and reflect can make all the difference. Imagine yourself as a wise man who, faced with a provocation, takes a brief moment to consider the situation before responding. This brief break allows you to maintain control over your emotions and choose a response that reflects your values and goals rather than an impulsive reaction that can escalate conflict. Practice mindfulness. Stay present in the moment and observe your thoughts and emotions without judgment. This allows you to maintain clarity and perspective, making it easier to respond thoughtfully rather than reactively. The practice of full attention or mindfulness is like having an internal observer who notices every emotion and thought that arises, but does not hold on to them. By practicing mindfulness, you develop the ability to see your emotions as passing clouds in the sky, rather than overwhelming storms. This makes it easier to remain calm and respond in a balanced way, even when faced with narcissistic behaviors. Set boundaries. Establish clear boundaries with the narcissist to protect your emotional well-being. This may involve limiting contact, refusing to participate in manipulative tactics, and assertively and calmly asserting your needs and boundaries. Setting boundaries is like building a fence around your emotional space, protecting it from unwanted intrusions. Not only does this help preserve your sanity, but it also sends a clear message to the narcissist that you will not be easily manipulated. Being assertive when communicating these limits is crucial. Use clear and direct language, always maintaining a calm and confident posture. Cultivate self-awareness. Reflect on your own emotions, triggers, and behavior patterns. By understanding yourself better, you can better manage your reactions and choose more constructive responses. Self-awareness is like holding a mirror up to yourself, allowing you to clearly see your own thoughts and emotions. By understanding what triggers your emotional reactions, you can better prepare yourself to deal with these situations constructively. This deep understanding of yourself strengthens your ability to remain calm and rational, even in times of provocation. Seek support. Surround yourself with friends, family, or a therapist who can offer perspective, validation, and encouragement. Having a strong support network can help you face challenging situations with greater resilience. Imagine yourself as a tree that, in the midst of storms, stands firm because it is surrounded by other trees that support it. Likewise, a support network offers the emotional support necessary to face the challenges posed by a narcissist. Talking to people you trust can provide new perspectives and strategies, as well as validate your experiences and feelings. Practice self-care. Prioritize activities that nourish your mind, body, and soul, such as exercise, relaxation techniques, and spending time with loved ones. Taking care of yourself strengthens your emotional resilience and helps you better deal with stress and adversity. Self-care is like recharging your internal batteries, ensuring you have enough energy to face daily challenges. Activities such as meditation, walks in nature, reading a good book, or simply spending time with loved ones can have a significant impact on your mental and emotional health. When you are well taken care of, you are better prepared to remain calm and clear regardless of external provocations. And if you're enjoying the content, consider becoming a member of the channel. In addition to helping the channel, you also have exclusive content. Click on the link in the description and become a member right now. Returning to the content. By incorporating these Stoic principles and strategies into your life, you can cultivate emotional strength and resilience in the face of narcissistic behavior, empowering yourself to maintain your peace, dignity, and sanity. By adopting Stoicism, you arm yourself with tools to navigate difficult situations with grace and wisdom. With each practice, you strengthen your ability to respond in a rational and balanced way, protecting yourself from the emotional exhaustion caused by narcissism. This empowerment not only preserves your integrity, but also builds a solid foundation for personal growth and self-reliance. The key to challenging a narcissist using Stoicism is to harness the power of perspective. Perspective is the ability to see situations from different angles, points of view, and frames of reference. It is the opposite of narrow-mindedness, which involves seeing things only from one's own perspective. Perspective broadens our horizons and allows us to understand the larger context of any situation. This gives us the ability to interpret events in a more balanced and impartial way, reducing the impact of narcissistic provocations. Narcissists often exhibit a narrow mind. They have a fixed and rigid view of themselves, others, and the world. They perceive themselves as superior, perfect and always right, while they see others as inferior, flawed, and always wrong. They see the world as hostile, competitive, and unfair, where they must constantly fight for survival, dominance, and glory. This worldview limits their ability to grow and adapt, as they are trapped in a bubble of self-deception and denial. However, what if we refuse to accept their perspective? What if we challenge, question, and change that view? What if we encourage them to see things differently? What if we see them as they really are, instead of as they see themselves? What if we see ourselves as we really are, instead of how we are perceived? What if we perceive the world as it really is, rather than through its distorted lens? By questioning the narcissist's worldview and presenting a broader, more balanced perspective, we begin to disarm their tactics and weaken their control. By offering alternative perspectives, we shake up their fixed beliefs. It's like opening a door to a new way of seeing things, one that is more honest and balanced. This approach forces the narcissist to confront reality in ways they normally avoid. By challenging their narrow views, we introduce the possibility of growth and change, even if it is initially uncomfortable for them. For a narcissist, this realization would be excruciating. They would realize that their perspective is not the only the best or the true. They would recognize that their perspective is distorted, delusional, and dysfunctional. They would admit that their perspective is not aligned with reality and that reality does not conform to their perspective. They would understand that their perspective is the source of their misery and that changing it is the only way to end it. This realization can be a turning point, causing them to question their own beliefs and behaviors in ways they never have before. So how can we apply the power of perspective? How can we adopt different points of view? Here are some Stoic techniques and tips to help us use the role reversal technique. This mental exercise allows us to put ourselves in other people's shoes, experiencing their emotions. For example, when a narcissist hurts us, we can use this technique to understand their fear, insecurity, and pain. By doing so, not only do we gain a deeper understanding of their motivations, but we can also respond in a more compassionate and less reactive way. Employ the Socratic method. This dialectical approach helps us question assumptions and beliefs by asking a series of thought-provoking questions to reveal the truth. We can challenge their claims by asking for evidence and consequences. Questions like, "Why do you believe that?" Or "What is the evidence for this statement?" They force the narcissist to examine their own beliefs and can expose the fragility of their convictions. This technique not only helps dismantle unfounded arguments, but also promotes a more rational and constructive dialogue. But there is a catch. If you've been trying for a long time to get out of conformity and ignorance and you can't do it in any way, maybe it's for other reasons that you don't know what's causing this. But I know what it is. It's anxiety. Anxiety comes like a silent snake and poisons you without you feeling it. This leaves you infected for days, months, and even years. And if you have that, it would be like living sick. However, there is an antidote from the Stoics, which together with modern psychology can free you from all this, just as it freed me. I made a video showing how you can get rid of this poison in your life. It's in the first comment. Click on the link in the first comment and cure yourself of this poison of anxiety. The third way to challenge a narcissist with stoicism is to master the art of indifference. Indifference is the ability to remain unshakable, detached, and indifferent to things outside of our control and that do not contribute to our happiness and well-being. It is the opposite of attachment, which involves depending on, holding on to, and longing for things outside of our control that do not improve our happiness and well-being. Indifference gives us emotional freedom, allowing us to face adversity with serenity and make decisions based on reason, not emotions. Narcissists tend to suffer from attachment. They become addicted to external factors such as admiration, attention, validation, praise, power, status, or money, believing that these things are essential to their happiness and well-being. Consequently, they incessantly pursue, demand, and expect these things, often at the expense of others, but remain perpetually dissatisfied, ungrateful, and discontented. They live in an endless cycle of searching for more, without ever finding true satisfaction. Their fragile self-esteem depends entirely on external approval and recognition, making them vulnerable to any change in this flow. But what if we refuse to grant your wishes, and instead show them what they really need? What if we stop feeding his addiction and start depriving him of his source of power? What if we let go of them and the things they value so much, rather than clinging to their manipulations? By refusing to play their game, we break the cycle of addiction and begin to create an environment where their influence on us gradually diminishes. We show, through our actions, that our worth and happiness do not depend on your approval or validation, but rather on our own internal strength and balance. We are no longer hostage to your selfish needs and desires. This change of stance may be liberating for us, but for the narcissist, it will be destabilizing. They are used to controlling, manipulating, and dominating the people around them to meet their own needs for power and recognition. By denying this, we are challenging the foundation on which they build their self-esteem and sense of importance. This denial of power can have a profound impact as we force them to face an uncomfortable reality. Their actions don't have the effect they want, and more importantly, they don't have the power over us they thought they did. This approach would undoubtedly be torturous for the narcissist, because they would realize that they are not receiving what they want, what they believe they deserve, and that they are not providing what we really need: respect, genuineness, and reciprocity. They would begin to realize that despite their attempts at manipulation and control, they are not as important, valuable, or worthy as they believe themselves to be. Worse still, they will realize that they are no longer able to influence or shape our behavior in their favor. It forces them to confront their own insecurities and motivations, a brutal mirror of the fragility of their ego. On some level, they would realize that their own inability to sustain the image of superiority and power is not only frustrating, but deeply disorienting. Indifference, therefore, becomes a powerful form of resistance, as we are not simply reacting to their manipulation with anger or conflict, but actually revealing the true nature of their weakness. Without our emotional energy to fuel their distorted narrative, the narcissist is left exposed in their vulnerability. This exposure can trigger an internal crisis that, if done well, could be the key to finally freeing him from manipulation and ourselves from his emotional tyranny. How can we master the art of indifference? How can we remain unshakable, detached, and indifferent to things outside of our control that do not affect our happiness and well-being? Here are some Stoic tips and techniques to help us. Use Stoic categories of value to differentiate between what matters and what doesn't. The Stoics categorize things into 3 groups: the good, the bad, and the indifferent. Focus on pursuing the good, avoiding the bad, and being indifferent to the indifferent. Good involves virtues such as wisdom, courage, and justice. The bad is addictions and harmful behaviors, and the indifferent includes everything that is not under our control, such as wealth, fame, and health. This categorization helps us focus on what really matters, freeing us from the anxiety generated by superfluous desires and worries. Apply the reservation clause to mentally detach yourself from the outcome, adding phrases like, "If nothing stops me," or "if fate allows," to your intentions. This practice reminds us that despite our best efforts, the end result is not entirely in our hands. Accepting this reality allows us to maintain inner peace and avoid unnecessary frustrations. For example, when pursuing a goal, tell yourself, "I will do my best if nothing stops me." This helps to internalize the idea that the control we have is limited, and that the important thing is the effort, not the result. Practice negative visualization to appreciate what you have and curb desires for what you lack. By imagining scenarios in which you lose something you have or gain something you lack, you will realize how fortunate you are, how little you truly need, and how adaptable you are, cultivating gratitude, contentment, and happiness. This technique prepares us mentally for losses and difficulties, strengthening our emotional resilience. When imagining the loss of a loved one, for example, you begin to value the present moments with that person more intensely, appreciating what you have instead of focusing on what you lack. The fourth and final way to challenge a narcissist using Stoicism is to practice acceptance. Acceptance is the ability to embrace reality as it is, without resistance, denial, or complaint. It is the opposite of resistance, which involves rejecting reality and resisting or denying it. Acceptance allows us to live in harmony with the nature of things, recognizing that not everything is under our control and that we must do the best with what we have. Narcissists often struggle with resistance. They deny reality and try to shape it to their will. They refuse to accept themselves, others, or the world as they are, instead trying to change them or pretending they are different. They hide their faults, mistakes, and failures, blaming them on others. They also distort, ignore, or reject truth, facts, or evidence. This constant resistance to reality creates a life of continual tension and dissatisfaction. But what if we don't join them in denial? What if we confront them with reality? What if we don't support their illusions but expose them? What if we don't resist reality but accept it? Accepting reality does not mean passivity, but rather recognizing the facts and working within the limits of what is possible. This stance challenges narcissistic fantasy and forces them to face the truth. For a narcissist, this acceptance would be torturous. They would realize that they are living in a fantasy, out of touch with reality. They would understand that they are not who they think they are or want to be. They would admit that they are not living well and that they need to change. Confronted with the truth, they can begin to realize the extent of their own illusions and the consequences of their behaviors. How can we practice acceptance? One way is through Stoic meditation, a mental exercise that helps us reflect on reality in an objective and rational way. This involves taking time each day to examine ourselves, our actions and experiences, comparing them to our ideals, goals, and values. We recognize both our successes and our failures, preparing ourselves for future challenges. This practice helps us maintain a sense of balance and perspective, accepting our limitations and celebrating our progress. Additionally, Stoic affirmations can reinforce our acceptance and help overcome resistance. These positive statements remind us of reality and how we can deal with it, cultivating a positive and realistic attitude. They help us face life's challenges with wisdom, courage, justice, and self-control. For example, by repeating to ourselves, "I accept what I cannot change and focus on what I can," we remember that our power lies in our responses, not in external circumstances. Practicing acceptance allows us to live in a more authentic and balanced way. By facing reality head-on, we strengthen our resilience and our ability to deal with adversity. By challenging narcissistic resistance with truth and acceptance, we not only disarm their tactics, but we also build a more peaceful and fulfilling life for ourselves. Here are some affirmations of Stoicism. I accept reality as it is. I focus on what I can control and let go of what I can't. I don't resist, deny, or complain. Instead, I embrace, understand, and act. I don't let external things disturb my peace of mind. I keep it within my own power. I do not depend on external things for my happiness and well-being, but on my own wisdom. I fear, desire, or regret nothing. I love and appreciate everything. Accepting reality means recognizing that some things are beyond our reach and that we must focus on our own reactions and choices. This allows us to live with more serenity and clarity without being swept away by the tides of external circumstances. For example, when dealing with a narcissist, we can use these Stoic affirmations to reinforce our acceptance and overcome resistance. We can tell ourselves, "I accept the narcissist as he is. I focus on my own thoughts, judgments, and actions and let go of theirs. I embrace, understand, and act, rather than resist, deny, or complain. I keep my peace of mind within my own control. I find happiness and well-being within myself, not dependent on the narcissist. I approach everything with love and appreciation, free from fear, desire, or regret." These words remind us that we do not need to change the narcissist or control their actions. Instead, we can focus on maintaining our own integrity and peace. By practicing acceptance, we cultivate an emotional resilience that allows us to face difficult situations with equanimity. Accepting the narcissist as he is does not mean approving or agreeing with his actions, but rather recognizing that his attitudes and behaviors are beyond our control. By focusing on our own reactions, we maintain our personal power and do not allow their manipulations to affect us. This creates a space of internal freedom where our peace of mind is not disturbed by the actions of others. Embracing, understanding, and acting rather than resisting, denying, or complaining puts us in a position of strength. When we understand that acceptance is a conscious choice, we realize that we have the power to shape our experiences and responses. By maintaining peace of mind within our own control, we become less vulnerable to attempts at manipulation and more able to respond in a wise and compassionate way. Finding happiness and well-being within ourselves is the essence of Stoicism. We don't need external validation or approval from a narcissist to feel complete and fulfilled. Our happiness is cultivated from our own wisdom, virtue, and understanding. Approaching everything with love and appreciation, free from fear, desire, or regret, allows us to live fully and authentically, regardless of external circumstances. In short, these Stoic affirmations help us maintain perspective and peace of mind when dealing with narcissists or any other adversity. They remind us that true strength comes from within, and that acceptance of reality, together with wisdom, is the path to a balanced and harmonious life. We can also practice Stoic exercises to strengthen our acceptance and resilience. These exercises include practices such as voluntary discomfort, self-denial, negative visualization, role play, journaling, and fasting. By engaging in these exercises, we expose ourselves to reality, test our reactions, train our adaptability, overcome limitations, and live with wisdom, courage, justice, and self-control. For example, by experiencing voluntary discomfort, such as taking cold showers or spending a day without luxury, we learn to deal with adversity and value what we have. Negative visualization, which involves imagining bad scenarios that could happen, mentally prepares us to face challenges with serenity. Voluntary discomfort and self-denial help us understand that we can live with less and that our happiness does not depend on material possessions. Recording our reflections in a journal allows us to analyze our emotions, identify patterns of behavior, and reinforce our Stoic principles. Fasting teaches us to control our desires and develop discipline. Each of these exercises is a powerful tool to strengthen us internally, making us less vulnerable to external manipulations. So let's stay strong, stay stoic, and keep learning and growing. Each challenge faced is an opportunity to apply our knowledge and become more resilient. If you found this helpful, please like, share, subscribe, and leave a comment. Your feedback is valuable and helps us continue producing content that supports our Stoic journey. In short, Stoicism offers us powerful strategies for navigating interactions with narcissists, empowering us to not only cope, but also to grow and thrive. It is not just a philosophy, but a way of life, a way to live well and wisely. The lessons of ancient Stoic philosophers such as Seneca, Epictetus, and Marcus Aurelius are timeless and teach us to face life with courage and balance. Thanks for watching, and remember to live well and live wisely. Every day is a new opportunity to practice virtue, find inner peace, and positively influence the world around us. By embracing Stoicism, we cultivate a life of purpose, resilience, and serenity. Let's go together on this journey of self-discovery and continuous growth.